Good evening, students. How are you? Good evening, Anish, Dinyash, Ch-2, Harshita, and all others who have joined in. So, welcome once again to chapter 2 of auditing, which we are going to study today. That is audit strategy, audit planning, and audit program. So, guys, first of all, tell me, have you understood clearly chapter 1, nature, objective, and scope of audit? Have you understood the basic essence of chapter 1? What is the nature of audit and what is the objective of audit? Because, guys, you understand, unless you understand what is the intrinsic nature of audit or what the auditor is supposed to do, then you will not be able to grasp other things, because all other things which you are going to study in subsequent chapters are related to the nature of auditing. So it is very important for you to understand what the auditor is supposed to do. I think you have all understood what is the nature of auditing and what is the objective of an independent audit. Any doubts, guys? Any doubts? So tell me, guys, before we proceed further, what is the outcome of an independent audit of financial statements? What is the outcome of an independent audit of financial statements? What does audit achieve? What is the final outcome of an audit of financial statements? From whatever you have understood in your short study of chapter 1, can you just drop one line from your mails, guys? What is the final outcome of an audit? What the auditor is supposed to do? What is his objective? What is his final objective? Suppose a chartered accountant conducts the audit, then after conducting audit, what is the final outcome? What he is supposed to give? What he is supposed to provide? Yes, guys. Yes, few mails have come. Somebody is stating reasonable assurance. Somebody is writing unmodified opinion. So, guys, you have to understand basic. You just try to understand in very simple terms, in very common terms, that the objective of an auditor is to express opinion on financial statements. Look, some financial statements are put up for audit before an auditor, before a chartered accountant. Then he does so many things. He plans the audit, he carries out the audit procedures, he obtains the audit evidence, and he makes a risk assessment. And what I'm trying to ask is, what is the final outcome of all this audit exercises? The final outcome would be that the auditor would be expressing an opinion on financial statements. Whatever he has audited, he would be expressing an opinion on financial statements, whether financial statements are free from material misstatements as a whole or not. So how does he express an opinion? he expresses an opinion through the medium of audit report. Through the medium of audit report. So final outcome of an audit is expression of an opinion on the financial statements through audit report. And an audit report is always written. So fair enough. So I have tried to mark a picture of overall audit process and what the auditor tries to achieve finally. Okay, so the basic objective of auditor is to express an opinion on financial statements, whether these financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or errors. So in doing so, the auditor obtains reasonable assurance that you have understood in chapter 1. What is reasonable assurance? Reasonable assurance is that auditor does not assure completely, look, the financial statements which I have audited, these are totally free from financial statements. He cannot guarantee that. Guys, you have to understand, he cannot guarantee that. He cannot vouch for their guarantee. He cannot vouch that there cannot be any mistake in the financial statements which have been audited by him. But he obtains a reasonable assurance. Now, what is reasonable assurance? Reasonable assurance is a fairly high level of assurance. It is, although it is not an absolute assurance, it is not a complete assurance, it is fairly high level of assurance. Okay, so the auditor tries to assure the users of financial statements, look, I have audited these financial statements and I am reasonably satisfied that I have obtained reasonable assurance that these financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements. Okay, so how does he express his opinion? He expresses his opinion through the medium of audit report. So this is the objective of an independent audit of financial statements. Guys, you have to remember these things, this thing always in your mind. This thing has to be imbibed in your mind always, or when you are doing, when you are studying, when you are trying to do questions, always remember what is the final outcome of audit process. Okay, is that clear, guys, so that we can proceed further? Yes, you are writing so many things. And Jyoti, you are asking, please use some Hindi. Jyoti, we will use Hindi little bit. But as you know, this is a pan-India class. So there are students from southern part of the country, from western, eastern regions, northern regions. So they might not be comfortable with Hindi. But anyway, we will try to do a little bit wherever we can. Okay, guys? So you understand what is the final outcome of an audit process. Guys, you do not have to forget, like जैसे अर्जुन ने निशाना साधा था आंख पे, वैसे आपको याद रखना है ये ऑब्जेक्टिव इंडिपेंडेंट ऑडिटर का, कि द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ एन इंडिपेंडेंट ऑडिट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स इज टू एक्सप्रेस एन ओपिनियन ऑन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स. जो भी ऑडिटर करता है, वॉट एवर ही डज, एवरी स्टेप लीड्स टू फॉर्मेशन ऑफ ओपिनियन. Every step he does, it leads to formation of an opinion on financial statements, and this opinion is expressed by him in the form of audit report. Okay, so everything, guys, everything which you would be studying from your chapter 1 to chapter 13, these are all steps in the process of audit. How audit is to be planned, what is the meaning of audit strategy, how auditor collects audit evidence, what do we mean by audit procedures, what are risk assessment procedures, how does auditor make sampling, all these kind of things, and how does auditor carry out test of details. So all these things which you will be studying in as part of your syllabus, guys, these ultimately lead to expression of an opinion on the financial statements by the auditor. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear, guys? Yes, Danyash, you are saying yes, we will remember. So when you will be writing questions in your exams, so then try to remember. Students, it is very, very basic thing. It is very, very basic thing, because when you will be done with the whole of syllabus, many of you would forget this basic point, because there are so many concepts there. You would be learning so many new things, you would be learning so many new terms, and in this maze of new terms, new concepts, you would lose the basic idea. That is why I am stressing on it. Okay, guys, so is that clear? So students, today's chapter is chapter 2, that is audit strategy, audit planning, and audit program. So guys, what is strategy? Do you have any idea? What do we mean by strategy? Sorry. What is strategy, guys? Tell me. Does anybody have idea? What do we mean by strategy? So strategy, students, strategy is a sort of plan to achieve something. So strategy is a sort of plan to achieve something. It is a broader plan, keeping in view some objective. It is a broader plan to achieve some goal. So I will give you a very, very simple example. Students, say you are preparing for your CA intermediate exams. Okay, aren't you? You are preparing for your CA intermediate exams. So everybody of you must have prepared some sort of strategy how to approach the exam. So what is keeping in view? Your objective in mind. So what is your objective? Your objective is to learn and to clear the exam with flying colors, isn't it? So you would be preparing a strategy that what are my strengths, what are my weak areas, and if I realize that there are some my weak areas, then I would try to keep more focus on these areas. And how you would be achieving your objectives. You must have thought that let us join board of studies live coaching classes to achieve your objective. So this is your strategy. So this is your strategy. General term, I am trying to explain to you guys very generally. So it is a real time example which would help you to correlate the things with your subject. Okay. And what is plan to achieve your broad strategy? You would be trying to develop some plan. You would be trying to develop some procedures कि मेरे को इतने घंटे ये वाला सब्जेक्ट स्टडी करना है, इतने घंटे ये वाला सब्जेक्ट स्टडी करना है. This is my weak areas and how I would be improving in this area. Say if I am weak at law, how I am going to remember these things, how I am going to remember theoretical subjects. So this is the overall concept of what is plan. Plan describes detailed procedures, nature of procedures, how that work is to be done, how that work is to be performed. Okay. So clear, guys? Is that clear? So planning, guys, planning involves overall audit strategy. Okay. And developing an audit plan. So you understand what is the basic difference between strategy and planning, between strategy and plan. Broad idea. We will be discussing all the finer points as we go by, but broad ideas. So guys, whenever you study anything in auditing, first keep broad idea of that concept in your mind. Okay. Then try to understand finer points of that concept. Because I have already told you that there are so many terms, there are so many new concepts. So in all this maze of new terms and new concepts, one tends to lose the basic things, basic distinctions. So when you would be done with the whole of the syllabus, you would not be in a position to recall difference between basic things. So these differences have to be remembered and imbibed, absorbed in your mind. Okay, guys? Clear, guys? So guys, one more thing. Whatever you would be studying in this chapter on audit strategy and planning, it is in terms of essay 300, which is planning audit of financial statements. Okay. So guys, you understand, before we go further, you have already read about standards on auditing in chapter 1, haven't you? Standards on auditing. So for the sake of clarity, I am once again repeating that all the chapters of your study material contained in module, these are somehow related to some standard or mixture of some standards. So you have also to understand what is the basic purpose of standards on auditing, because you would be studying so many standards, so many things about standards, but the basic funda is sometimes lost in the minds of students. So what is the basic purpose of standards on auditing? Can you tell, guys? You have already read in chapter 1. Yes, Ramchandra, you are saying that we have read about essay 200 and 210 in chapter 1. So today's chapter is in context of essay 300. Okay. And one Mr. Kojima, he is asking, do we need to remember all essays? So I have already told you guys that this whole your syllabus, every chapter is based upon some standards on auditing. So wherever essay reference is given, you have to remember what this standard deals about and what is the relevant thing written in your study material pertaining to that standard. Okay. So yes, now many of you have answered what is the purpose of standards on auditing. Now Ashwin is writing uniformity, Jesse Raj, unification of audit reports, S. Ansari, to maintain equilibrium in audit. So guys, you are near the point. So what is the purpose of issuing standards on auditing by ICAI? What is the purpose? You have already studied in your chapter 1, guys, that these standards have been developed by Auditing and Assurance Standards Board of ICAI, and these have been issued under the authority of the Council of ICAI. So what is the purpose of issuing standards? The purpose of issuing standards is that these standards deal with the responsibilities of auditor, that how an audit is to be carried out. So standards on auditing deal virtually with every aspect of auditing, right from the nature, scope of auditing, from the nature and objective of an independent auditor, to planning an audit, to obtaining audit evidence, to understanding the entity's environment and its control system, and also how auditor has to express his opinion in the audit report. So there are standards virtually on every aspect of auditing. So these standards enjoin responsibility upon the auditor so that the audit is carried out in a standardized way, because the audit work, you understand guys, is a professional work. It is a professional job. So unless there is some sort of uniformity how audit is to be carried out, so if there is no uniformity, it would lead to mess. Okay, so therefore these standards have been issued which deal with the responsibilities of auditor. Okay, so you have to remember that standards on auditing deal with responsibilities of auditor. Okay. Is that clear, guys? So today's chapter is basically relates to essay 300. Essay 300. So all the concepts, most of the concepts in this chapter uh, are related to essay 300. So what does essay 300 states? It states that objective of an auditor is to plan the audit so that audit is carried out in an effective manner. So guys, किसी भी काम को शुरू करने से पहले अगर आप उसकी प्लानिंग नहीं करोगे, if you do not plan, then you are likely to mess it up. Suppose आप एग्जाम्स की तैयारी कर रहे हैं लेकिन आप उसकी प्लानिंग प्रॉपर नहीं करते, so obviously you would burn your fingers when results will be declared. So proper planning is necessary in any work to achieve your goals, to achieve your objectives. Proper planning is necessary, and auditing is no exception. So to perform an effective audit by the auditor, planning is necessary. Okay. So that is why an planning and audit becomes very important. Okay. So we have already discussed that planning and audit involves two things. One is establishing an overall audit strategy, and second thing is developing a plan, developing an overall audit plan. Okay, guys, clear? So guys, the auditor should plan his work to enable him to conduct an audit in an effective, efficient and timely manner. Okay. So plans should be made to cover, among other things, what? So what should plans cover? Acquire knowledge of clients' accounting systems, policies and internal control procedures. So guys, you have an idea what do we mean by internal control? Do you have an idea what do we mean by internal control? Have you understood it in a basic way in chapter 1? Because this concept would be taught to you in greater detail in chapter 4. There is a complete chapter on internal control, risk assessment and internal control. Chapter 4. You would be studying in detail, in very detail about internal control. But here we would only be touching. So do you have any idea, guys, ki what do we mean by internal control? Any idea? Please let me know, guys. Or you do not have any idea? So internal control, guys, you have to understand that internal control is a system which is developed by the management, which is developed by the company, which is developed by the concern to carry out its work effectively and efficiently, to ensure that financial reporting is reliable. So obviously, guys, you have to understand that any company, any business, it cannot run without having a system of checks and balances. Say if there is a manufacturing company and it does not have a system on the purchases, how purchases are to be made by the company, how quality is to be ensured, and if the company doesn't have a system that the items which it is purchasing, these are not being stolen by its employees, or these are not, its assets are not being misappropriated. So obviously, to run the business successfully, the company must be developing a system so that its business can be run in an efficient manner. Okay, so this you can understand broadly what is the meaning of internal control. So that is also a very, very important term. Internal control. This is the, again, you would be studying about it in your chapter 4 in great detail. And you would have to remember that this internal control is the responsibility of management. Auditor does not develop control system. Who develops it? It is the responsibility of the company. It is the responsibility of management. So how the auditor is concerned about it? Auditor only studies the control system. कि भाई आपने ये कंट्रोल सिस्टम बनाया, लेट मी स्टडी वेदर इट इज फूल प्रूफ और वेदर इट इज liable to misstatement, whether these controls can be easily manipulated, whether these can be easily bypassed by the employees. Say if the employees are able to bypass the controls, or if the controls are not functioning satisfactorily, what would happen? There would be frauds, or there would be unintentional errors. So control system is very important from the perspective of an auditor, from the point of view of an auditor. Is that clear? Again, guys, you have to remember that auditor does not develop control system. It is the responsibility of whom? It is the responsibility of management. It is the responsibility of the company. The auditor only studies the control system to see whether controls are working effectively or not, to understand weakness, deficiencies, if any, in the control system. Clear, guys? Is that clear? So किसी भी प्लान को स्टूडेंट्स बनाने से पहले द प्लान शुड बी मेड टू कवर क्या नॉलेज ऑफ क्लाइंट्स अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम की अकाउंट्स क्लाइंट्स कैसे बना रहा है, मान लो कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर यूज कर रहा है. ही माइट बी यूजिंग many softwares available in the market, okay, or there might be some in-house software developed on which books of accounts are maintained, or these days books of accounts are also maintained on cloud servers, okay. So अगर ऑडिटर को पता ही नहीं होगा कि अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम कैसा है या कंट्रोल प्रोसीजर कैसे हैं, तो वो ऑडिट प्लान क्या बनाएगा? He would not be able to make a good audit plan. he would not be able to make good planning for the audit. Okay, so establishing the expected degree of reliance to be placed on internal control. Now, if the internal control is operating effectively, if the auditor is satisfied that control system is working satisfactorily, then auditor's level of reliance would go up. He can rely more on the internal control कि भाई इसके सब सिस्टम ठीक ठाक चल रहे हैं. We can place reliance. There is less scope of mistakes. There is less scopes of errors, or there is less chance of less probability of frauds happening. Because why? Because systems are such. सिस्टम जो कंपनी ने बनाया है दैट इज फूल प्रूफ. ओके. सी, डिटरमिनिंग एंड प्रोग्रामिंग द नेचर, टाइमिंग एंड एक्सटेंट ऑफ ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स टू बी परफॉर्म्ड. अब द प्लान शुड इंक्लूड what audit procedure is to be performed. So you have to remember this term, guys. This is very important. Nature, timing, and extent. This would be repeated again and again in your study material. Again and again. So you have to remember it. So you can remember it by making an acronym NTE. So everywhere it is there. Nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures to be performed. Nature, अब हम कहते हैं नेचर का क्या मतलब है ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स. सबसे पहले you understand what are the audit procedures. Again, guys, there is a complete chapter on audit procedures, chapter number 3. However, for basic understanding, we will touch this topic of audit procedures कि audit procedures का क्या मतलब है. Suppose, guys, the auditor is going through the books of accounts of the company. He is studying the balance sheet of the company. So what he is doing? He is inspecting some document. Sorry. He is inspecting some document. So this inspection is audit procedure. This is audit procedure. Suppose the auditor is, suppose a physical verification of the stocks of the company is taking place, and auditor is there to observe how the stocks are being counted. Okay, so what the auditor is doing? He is observing somebody counting the stocks of the company. So this is known as observation. So it is also an audit procedure. Observing somebody performing some procedure. So there are many other procedures also which you would be studying in your chapter 3. So like inspection, observation, making inquiry, किसी से कुछ पूछना, it is also an audit procedure. So कौन सा प्रोसीजर बनाना है, अपनाना है, उसका मतलब है नेचर. So nature refers to which kind of audit procedure is to be applied. Timing, किस टाइम पे वो ऑडिट प्रोसीजर करना है. Like stock taking, it has to be done at the end of the year as on the balance sheet date. Okay, and extent of audit procedure. What is the meaning of extent? Extent means कितना. अगर स्टॉक टेकिंग हो रही है तो क्या हर एक आइटम चेक करेगा या कुछ सैंपल लेगा. कितना. एक्सटेंट मीन्स हाउ मच. ओके. And one question is, Aman Sharma is asking, what is the expected degree of reliance? Expected degree का क्या मतलब है? So guys, Aman, you have to understand company has made its internal control system. I have given you an example of purchases. So after studying the internal control system, the auditor sees how much reliance is to be placed. If after studying the control system relating to say purchases, he is satisfied that the system which the company has devised, it is foolproof. There is very minimal chances of some errors or some misappropriation of assets. Okay, then he can place more reliance. If he is not satisfied, अगर सिस्टम ही कंपनी का बनाया हुआ ढीला ढाला है, if he is not satisfied, then he cannot place much reliance. He would see ये तो सिस्टम ही कंपनी का ठीक नहीं है, so there would be greater chance of misstatement in the financial statements. गलती होने के ज्यादा चांस हैं. ओके, गलती एरर से भी हो सकती है, इंटेंशनल फ्रॉड भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि आपका सिस्टम ही ठीक नहीं है, इसके लिए चांसेस ज्यादा है. तो अगर चांसेस ज्यादा है तो ऑडिटर उस पे रिलाय नहीं करेगा, कंट्रोल सिस्टम पे कम रिलाय करेगा. तो क्या करेगा, वो जो उसने चेकिंग करनी है, जो उसके ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स है, ही वुड इंक्रीज, उनका दायरा बढ़ा देगा. ही वुड एक्सटेंड स्कोप ऑफ हिज चेकिंग. He would extend the scope of his audit procedures. Okay. So, Aman Sharma, is that clear to you? Yes, Aman, is that clear to you? Jyoti, you are asking audit strategy is a part of audit planning. Jyoti, there are two. One thing is planning and audit. Audit को plan करना. It includes two things. One is strategy and another thing is developing an audit plan. तो audit को plan करने के दो हिस्से हैं. एक तो audit strategy बनाना और एक audit plan बनाना. So you understand? And Ramachandra R, you are asking audit plan is framed after engaging with the client. Yes, we would be studying while framing a plan. Not everything is discussed with the client, but obviously many things are discussed with the client. We will be coming to this point later on in this chapter, Ramachandra. So please keep patience. And coordinating the work to be performed, and everything, all the works, these have to be coordinated. How these are to be coordinated? So this should also be part of the plan. So what planning should cover, guys? Planning should cover 4 things: acquiring knowledge about client systems, policies and control procedures, and how much reliance is to be placed upon the internal control system, and determining the nature, timing and extent of audit procedures to be performed. Very, very important. कि क्या audit procedures perform करने, वो planning में ही decide हो जाएगा. And coordinating the work to be performed. Yes. Pranav Vasishtha, you are asking whether your answers are visible. Yes. Pranav, your mail has come. Yes, don't worry, your mail has come, Pranav. So benefits of planning in the audit of financial statements, it is general. कोई भी you already know, guys, अगर आप planning नहीं करोगे तो you cannot meet your objective. So what are the advantages? Helping the auditor to devote appropriate attention to important areas of the audit. So when the auditor tries to make a plan in a structured way, then he lays down which areas are more important, where there is a risk of misstatements occurring. Okay, so उन एरियाज को वो प्रॉपर अटेंशन डिवोट कर सकता है ऑडिटर. हेल्पिंग द ऑडिटर आइडेंटिफाई एंड रिजॉल्व potential problems on a timely basis. Too simple. Helping the auditor to organize the audit engagement so that it is performed in an effective manner. Obviously, the objective of auditor as per SA 300 is to plan the audit so that it is carried out in an effective manner. So it helps the auditor in performing the audit in an effective and efficient manner. Okay, assisting in selection of engagement team, proper engagement team. So guys, when we conduct audit of some entity, an engagement team, an audit team, you can understand, and which is technically called engagement team, it is constituted. Okay, so it might be having a number of persons as its members, consisting of staff of the audit firm. It shall consist of a chartered accountant or other staff and article clerks. So they would be doing different things. They would be performing different audit procedures. So when the auditor plans the audit, so appropriate planning helps him in selection of engagement team. कि इस कंपनी में ये एरियाज है तो इसके लिए ये वाला स्टाफ मेंबर ही इज एक्सपीरियंस्ड, वो ठीक रहेगा या नहीं. सो दीज सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग्स. ओके. No, Ramchandra, there is no fixed format of audit plan. There is no format. There is no format. It differs from entity to entity. There is no format. Okay. Facilitating direction and supervision of engagement team. Again, he can direct the work. क्या ऑडिट ठीक चल रहा है या नहीं. ओके, वो प्लान के अकॉर्डिंग चल रहा है कि नहीं. So all these things are there in the plan. Now we come to audit strategy. So now we have read how planning and audit is important. Why planning and audit is important, and what plan should include. Okay, and what are the benefits of planning and audit? Now we shall come to audit strategy. So as I have already told you at the beginning, that planning and audit has two components. One is establishing an overall audit strategy, and second is developing an effective audit plan. So now we come to audit strategy. So what is audit strategy? So these three words, guys, these are also very, very important. These you have to remember. So strategy का purpose क्या है? Overall strategy, audit strategy sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit. You can remember by preparing an acronym STD. For easy remembering, STD, scope, timing, and direction. Very, very important. So audit engagement sets the scope, टाइमिंग एंड डायरेक्शन ऑफ ऑडिट. स्कोप की ऑडिट का स्कोप क्या है? से द audit relates to a company, then obviously the financial statements would be prepared in accordance with the requirements of Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. Clear? because the financial reporting framework is specified in the Companies Act as per Schedule 3. So the scope of audit is fixed by the reporting financial reporting framework. Okay, so timing, set टाइमिंग, भैया कंपनी का ऑडिट है तो कब ऑडिट करना है, एजीएम से पहले ऑडिट करना है, एजीएम में अकाउंट्स अप्रूव होते हैं, ऑडिटेड अकाउंट्स अप्रूव होते हैं. यू वुड हैव स्टडीड इन योर corporate law and direction of audit. So what relating to overall of objective of the audit, what direction of audit has to take to achieve the desired result. So what was the desired outcome? The outcome of audit was to express an opinion on financial statements. So all the efforts of the auditor would be directed towards that कि जो मैं opinion दे रहा हूं कभी वो गलत ना हो जाए. That I am giving a unqualified opinion that the affairs of company are okay, there are no material misstatements, but later on it turns out to be false because I have not made proper plan, I have not carried out the audit according to the standards on auditing, I have not obtained the required evidence which was required to be obtained, I have not carried out the audit procedures which were required to be carried out in accordance with standards on auditing. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear? Yes, Pranav, you are saying, Pranav Natarajan, we have not started corporate law. Okay, Pranav, you can understand for the time being so much. So what does overall audit strategy set? This you have to understand. Overall audit strategy sets out 3 words, guys, you have to remember: scope, timing, and direction of the audit. Scope, timing, and direction of audit, STD. Okay. Sujal Negi, you are asking, can auditor be punished for expressing an unqualified opinion? Looks, you would be, Sujal, you would be studying about these things in greater detail throughout your syllabus, but for the time being, you can understand that auditor has to carry out his audit in accordance with standards on auditing, in accordance with SCs. Okay, so if he has to prove that he has to document everything, he has to prove that his audit was in fact carried out in accordance with standards on auditing. So if he is not able to demonstrate that audit was not carried out in accordance with the standards on auditing, or he failed to perform his duty, whatever was to be performed, whatever procedures were to be performed, these were not performed. So obviously he would be liable. Okay. Yes, Jyoti, you seem to be very disheartened. You are saying हमारा जो है वो सब्जेक्ट की स्टडी करना है. सो जो आर्ट सब्जेक्ट है हम कैसे स्टडी करेंगे? ज्योति, अगर आप किसी सब्जेक्ट में इंटरेस्ट नहीं लोगे, आप उसको डीपली उसमें इंटरेस्ट नहीं लोगे, आप कभी भी उसमें मार्क्स स्कोर नहीं कर पाओगे। आप अगर आप यही सोचोगे कि मेरे को 40 नंबर लेके एग्जाम क्लियर का होना है, तो आज कभी भी 40 नंबर नहीं आएंगे। अगर आप उस सब्जेक्ट में इंटरेस्ट बनाओगे, आप सोचोगे कि मेरे को 60 नंबर चाहिए, मेरे को इसमें फ्लाइंग कलर से पास होना है, तो आपके 45, 50, 45, 50 मार्क्स आएंगे। सो आपको अभी तो स्टार्ट हुआ है ज्योति, आई वुड से यू ट्राई टू डेवलप इंटरेस्ट। तो जैसे एक दिन में सारी बात समझ में नहीं आएगी, जैसे जैसे सिलेबस आगे बढ़ेगा वैसे वैसे आपका इंटरेस्ट भी बढ़ेगा। इज दैट क्लियर ज्योति? डू नॉट लूज आउट guys, do not lose out. You should not prove yourself as losers. I don't think anybody of you would try to lose out. You have joined the CA course after making a conscious decision. Okay, so you have to work hard, you have to study hard. यस ज्योति, अब बात है, अब आप कह रहे हैं एग्जम्पशन का टारगेट है। डेफिनेटली, व्हाई एग्जम्पशन? यू शुड पास द ग्रुप्स इन फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट। व्हाई ओनली एग्जम्पशन? ओके, सो नाउ हाउ द ऑडिट स्ट्रेटेजी हेल्प्स? हाउ द ऑडिट स्ट्रेटेजी हेल्प्स? How audit strategy helps? Again, the things like resources to deploy for, like if some audit work to be performed is very technical, then I have to deploy some experienced staff. I have to deploy some experienced staff on that work. Or if some work is of routine checking of clerical in nature, then I can deploy some my junior, some fresher. Okay, so this is the meaning of the resources to deploy for specific audit areas. Okay, the amount of resources to allocate to specific audit areas, the same example I have given to you कि अगर इन्वेंट्री काउंट करना है तो उसके लिए कितने आदमी चाहिए, इन्वेंट्री काउंट को ऑब्जर्व करने के लिए हाउ मेनी पर्सन्स आर नीडेड. So these kind of things, these are very general things, but in fact these things are written there in SA 300. Okay, deploy means recruitment. Yes, Pranav, Vashishta, you can say deploy means some work is to be carried out. Say in the auditor wants to observe the inventory counting process of the client of the company, so he wants to send some of his staff to the client location. So how many persons he have to send? So this is written in slightly technical language. The amount of resources means what are the resources in the context of audit? Resources is the persons, the members of the engagement team. Okay. So when these resources are to be deployed, like again taking the example of inventory counting, at what time it is to be carried out, say at the end of year or during the year, or if some other audit procedure is to perform, when it is to be performed. Okay. And how such resources are managed, directed and supervised. So how they would function, coordination is to be done, briefing, how they would inform the the main chartered accountant who is the head of the engagement team that this is the audit work we have done and these are our observation, how they would brief him and how the engagement partner would again ask them to do further more things. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear, guys? So now, Priyanka, you are saying, sir, audit is specifically area or overall area? I fail to understand, Priyanka, what you are asking. Please refine your question, Priyanka. Please refine your query quickly so that we can move further. Yes, Priyanka. Yes, Sadik, you are asking engagement team counts inventory physically or they only take supporting document? Look, Sadik, the team they they do not count. They are not supposed to count every piece. Say if there is a company engaged in manufacturing of say fabric, so they are not going to count every meter. Obviously, first they would be relying upon the system. What is the in-house system? How the inventories are being verified by management? So they would be part of the process when the inventories are counted, and they would observe how these are being counted, whether by observing they can conclude that counting process is okay, it is fine. They can also test check, say if some stacking is done, if some bundles are placed, so there are say n number of bundles, so they may test check few of them. You would read further in auditing that auditor is not supposed to check every transaction. It is a nature of auditing. Similar in case of inventory counting, the auditor is not supposed to check every unit of the inventory. It is not practically possible. This is the, so again go to chapter 1, Sadik. This is the inherent limitation of audit. This is the inherent limitation of audit procedures. This is a practical limitation of the audit procedures, that auditor cannot check each and everything. That is why we say that auditor obtains reasonable assurance. अगर मैं हर एक चीज चेक कर पाता तब तो मैं गारंटी देता, इसीलिए that is why auditor does not give a guarantee. He gives only a reasonable assurance. He does not give an absolute assurance. Okay, Sadiq, is that clear? Please let me know. Please let me know. And GR Kanak Harini, you are asking what is the, yes, Abdul, is it is clear? Yes, Abdul, is it clear? Please let me know. The question you have asked, Abdul, is it clear? And GR Kanakharini, you are asking what is the meaning of term briefing and debriefing? Briefing and debriefing, guys, suppose the team member does some work, okay? So they brief the principal. They tell him that we have done this work, this is our observation, okay? And again, the principal again ask them to do something. So this is a briefing debriefing exercise. Okay. Okay, Abdul. Yes, Priyanka, you are saying overall audit strategies. कंपल्सरी एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए. डेफिनेटली द ऑडिटर हैज टू बी एक्सपीरियंस्ड. Now, Jyoti, you are saying fourth point is not clear. I have already told you that जो भी फोर्थ पॉइंट का मतलब है कि जो भी लोग काम कर रहे हैं ऑडिट पे, वो कैसे काम कर रहे हैं, उनकी डायरेक्शन कैसी है, उनको सुपरविजन उनकी कैसे हो रही है, कि जो ऑडिट टीम के मेंबर हैं, एंगेजमेंट टीम के मेंबर हैं, वो भी ठीक तरह से काम कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, वो आके अपनी एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर को बता रहे हैं. ओके. और एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर क्या सेटिस्फाइड है कि वो काम ठीक कर रहे हैं. सो दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, because it is always the ultimate engagement partner who would be signing on the report. Ultimately, who is responsible? Partner who would be signing the report. He cannot lay blame कि भैया उसने काम ठीक नहीं किया, मेरे स्टाफ मेंबर ने, तो मैं क्या करूं. He is responsible for everything. Okay. Yes, Dinesh. Dinyansh Ingle. Cut-off date. Yes, cut-off date 31st March. Cut-off means financial year cut-off. From the in the context of audit, you can say it is 30. You can take it to be 31st March. Yes, Anish Oja, you are saying it correctly. You have now understood it in a precise way. You are writing audit strategy is a path in which audit plan had to be prepared. Yes, audit strategy is a broader. It is a broader strategy which sets the scope, timing and direction of audit, whereas plan is a detailed plan how the work would in fact be performed. Okay. Well done, Anish. So, how establishment of overall audit strategy. Now, audit strategy के बारे में तो हमने पढ़ लिया. Now, establishment of overall audit strategy. How audit strategy is to be established. Now, Ashwin, you are asking, sir, tell us about paper format. Yes, we'll be coming to that, Ashwin, but for the timing, you can understand that paper consists of 30 marks of questions which are to be given in OMR sheet. It consists of 10 MCQs and 2 case studies. Now each case study has got 5 questions of 2 marks each. Again, these are to be marked on OMR sheet. Okay. So 30 marks is this of MCQ nature and 70 marks is of written descriptive type. 3 mark question, 4 marks question. So this is the format of the paper. And anyway, you can go to BOS portal and go to previous year papers, and you can see the 70 marks descriptive paper. As far as 30 marks MCQs and case studies are concerned, you can go to MCQs and case scenario booklet, which is there on the BOS portal. Okay. Now, Abdul, what is your question? You are asking, can firm's common seal counted as signed by engagement partner? If I am able to understand, you are asking that just putting a seal of a CA of the audit firm is signed. No, these are to be physically signed or digitally signed. Parnav Vashishtha, no. For the time being at present, for the next exams or till the exams which have gone by, there is no minus marking. There is no negative marking in MCQ. There is no negative marking in MCQ. Is that clear? Ashwin, Jesse, Raj, there is no negative marking in MCQs. If you get it correctly, you would get the required marks 1 or 2, or if you get it wrong, nothing would be deducted. Till now, there is no negative marking. Till now. And for the coming papers also. So in establishing the overall audit strategy, the auditor shall identify the characteristics of engagement that defines its scope. So again, the same thing. Like, say if I am the auditor of the company, so I would see whether say a company has got different branches, or whether there are some whether there is a holding company and subsidiary companies, whether I have to express opinion on standalone financial statements or consolidated financial statements. Okay, so this is the meaning of this, including the number and location of components to be included. That कंपोनेंट्स कौन से ऑडिट करने हैं, उनकी लोकेशन क्या है, नंबर क्या, लोकेशन एक जगह है या कई जगह है. Now Ashwin, you are asking, can without practicing CA do audit? No, only CAs who are in practice, who are in full-time practice, they are holding certificate of practice, only they can do the audit, only they can sign the audit reports, only they can conduct the audit, only they can perform the attest functions, which we call in the audit as signing the audit report. We say it as performing the attest functions. Okay, is that clear? So the nature of business segments to be audited, like किसी कंपनी में डिफरेंट सेगमेंट्स है, कई डिविजन्स हैं, एक टेक्सटाइल डिवीजन है, एक इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवीजन है. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. एक्सपेक्टेड यूज ऑफ ऑडिट एविडेंस obtained in previous audits. ओके, से अगर मैं कोई ऑडिटर एक कंपनी में 3 साल से हूं, सो आई वुड सी व्हाट हैज बीन माय पास्ट एक्सपीरियंस. Okay, so whether I can use the audit evidence which I had obtained in previous audits. Okay, so these are all characteristics of the engagement that defines its scope. Okay, guys. So guys, in the auditing paper, I am telling you very practical thing. In the auditing paper, it is very important to learn and remember keywords and key terms. You have to write the answer in your own way. Okay, but you have to remember the keywords and key terms. Like in case of audit strategy, I have told you the keywords are that audit strategy sets out scope, timing, and direction of audit. Now, if you remember this one line, in any question on audit strategy, you would be able to make out, because this is what that constitutes an audit strategy. This is funda of audit strategy. So, in papers, questions hit on your fundamentals, guys. Remember, guys. Now, Shambhabi Suman, you are asking how to write descriptive answers. Number one, I would like to clarify that descriptive answers in your CA papers in generally and in auditing papers specifically are not that descriptive. as these sound. These might consist of 1 para, 2 para, or 3 para at the most. Sometimes, mostly, these would be 1 para or 2 para, because these are of 3 marks or 4 marks. Okay, you are not going to write thesis. You are not going to write for a 4-mark question. You are not going to write 4 pages. Obviously, you would be writing half page or 1 page at the most. Okay. Okay, so ascertain the reporting objectives of the engagement to plan the timing of audit and nature of communications required. आपकी एंगेजमेंट के ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है, रिपोर्टिंग ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है. लाइक से अगर कंपनी का ऑडिटर है तो उसको रिपोर्ट जो है कंपनीज एक्ट के अकॉर्डिंग देनी है. ठीक है, अगर किसी और लॉ का ऑडिटर है तो उसको उसी लॉ के अकॉर्डिंग रिपोर्ट देनी है और उसके टाइमिंग्स देख रहे हैं. सो दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आर देयर. कंसिडर द फैक्टर्स that in the auditor's professional judgment are significant in directing the engagement team's effort. So what are the factors that the engagement team perform its work effectively? What are the important factors? Okay, consider the results of preliminary engagement activities and say if I have done audit of a company, say manufacturing computer chips, so I am also doing audit of a company manufacturing computer chips, so same line of business. So can I use the experience gained in that company in another company? So because the nature of business is same, so I would be able to correlate many things. I would be having an industry knowledge of the chip manufacturing companies. Okay. So whether that information is relevant, whether it can be used for setting out the audit strategy. Okay. Now, Divyansh, you are asking Danyanish, English, you are asking preliminary engagement. Preliminary engagement activities means that before the actual process starts, the auditor tries to study, the auditor tries to gain an understanding of the company. So what at the first glance he thinks, okay, so he has discussed with management, what view he has obtained. So based upon his feedback, based upon his inputs he has received, so at the initial stage, it sets out the part of the strategy of audit. Okay. So preliminary identification of areas where there may be a higher risk of material misstatement. So the auditor first of all identifies primary which are the areas where there is high risk of misstatement. By studying the internal control, by studying the nature of business, the auditor understands which are the more risk prone areas. Okay, where there could be a material misstatement, which are the more risk prone areas. So primarily at the beginning, he tries to identify those areas. Okay. Results of previous audits. This I have already covered. Volume of transactions. Like, now this is very important. Like, what is the volume of transactions? Say, we have already learned, guys, that in chapter 1, you have learned about the inherent limitations of audit. Do you remember? So guys, the auditor is not supposed to check each and every transaction. He cannot check, because in today's business, even in a small company, daily there are hundreds of transactions. Okay. So even in a, like say in case of a bank, even in a small branch, there would be at least 400, 500 vouchers. Okay. So would it be possible for an auditor to check each and every voucher? वो तो पूरे साल में भी ऑडिट खत्म नहीं कर सकता. So then what does the auditor do? He relies on sample. He relies on sample checking. So there is a proper scientific procedure how samples are to be collected. There is a separate chapter on sampling. There is chapter 6, I think. So you would be reading about samples and scientific basis of sampling in chapter 6. Okay. So you have always to remember that auditor is not supposed to check each and every transaction, each and every bill. No, he cannot do. He cannot do, because this is inherent limitation of audit procedures itself. Okay. So he relies on sample checking. So when he relies on sample checking, he makes sure that the controls, जो internal control management का है, whether he can rely upon that control system or not. I have already told you that if the auditor thinks that he can rely upon the control system, if the controls are operating satisfactorily, then obviously he would place more reliance on controls, and need for detailed checking would reduce, isn't it? The need for detailed checking would reduce. If the control systems of the company are not satisfactory, if these are not operating effectively, then auditor would have to increase the area of his checking, क्योंकि कंपनी के कंट्रोल सिस्टम ही ठीक नहीं है. ओके. सो ये चीजें भी उसके स्ट्रेटेजी के समय ध्यान में रखी जाती है. ओके. Yes, Ashwin, you are saying that auditor gets an advantage because of an exception. Say the auditor, I have already told you, you have to keep this point in your mind, Ashwin, that in case some wrong thing happens, say the auditor has given the report. Okay. And he states in his report, he gives an opinion that everything is okay, that he has not found any material misstatement. Suppose later on some misstatement is found, later on some fraud is discovered. So would the auditor would be liable? So in that case, Ashwin, the auditor would have to show, he would have to demonstrate that he has carried out the work in accordance with the standards on auditing. So he would have to show all his working papers, all his documentation to show that he has performed the work in accordance with standards on auditing. If he can show, if he can demonstrate that he has done his work professionally in accordance with standards on auditing, then it's okay. He is not liable. But in case he is not able to show that procedures which were required to be performed in accordance with the essays, he had not performed those procedures, then obviously he would be held guilty. Okay. Is that clear to you, Ashwin? Is that clear? You have not properly framed your query, Ashwin. So, but whatever I got to make out of it, whatever I uh, sensed out of it, I have tried to explain to you. Is that clear? And guys, slightly try to refine your writing skills also. It would help you a great, it will help you a lot. Not only in exams. I'm not saying only for exams, but otherwise also it would help you generally also. Your level will increase. Your standard will increase. You should be able to communicate what is in your mind clearly. Okay. You should be able to state what is in your mind clearly, to the point, logically and crisp. Okay, so the message goes to the recipient. So this will help you in your exams if you write to the point. Yes, Ashwin, you are saying जो मुझे कहना था आपने बराबर बता दिया. ओके अश्विन, बराबर, बिल्कुल बराबर. Yes. So, Abdul, you are asking, is there any code for auditing? So, Abdul, these all things there is no code. You would all, our profession, auditing profession is closely regulated by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So there is a disciplinary mechanism. If some member does wrong, so ICAI takes action. So you would be studying all these things in your CA final auditing. Okay. Chartered Accountants Act 1949. And besides, for larger companies, recently 2-3 years back, the government has also set up an authority, NAFRA, which takes into account cases of lapses in by auditors relating to certain class of companies. Okay. So Aman Sharma is yearning for a break. Okay, Aman would take a break after some time. Let me complete this point. So ascertain the nature and timing extent of resources necessary for the engagement. कि वो जो engagement है, the engagement, how it is to be completed. So look, when an auditor accepts some work, he is appointed as an auditor of a concern, then the audit has to be conducted in a time frame. Okay, it cannot go indefinitely. So कितने लोग चाहिए, क्या एंगेजमेंट टीम की कंपोजिशन रहेगी, किसको क्या काम देना है, all these things are looked in this. Okay, so so guys, I think you are able to understand in a general way what we are trying to study. So if there is any confusion, guys, drop your mails. I have tried to explain to you in a very general, in a layman's manner, so that the things become clear to you, so that when you remember, when you study from your module, when you study from your study material, you are able to grasp the things more effectively. You would be able to learn things quickly, because many of your points would have already been resolved. Many of your queries would have already been resolved. Okay. Okay, guys. So at this stage, we are going to take a break, short break for 10 minutes. So see you guys after 10 minutes. So break for 10 minutes. Break for 10 minutes. Yes, welcome back, students. So, Vidya, you are asking, sir, 3 mark or 4 mark? In 3 mark, 4 mark question, if it is enough, that will write about 10 lines. So, Vidya, there is no straight jacket answer to that question. It all depends upon how the question is framed. But as a general rule, as a thumb rule, we can say that 1 to 3 paras would be enough, because the question would be framed in such a way that these would prompt you to write only relevant matter. You are not to write stories in your paper, because it is a professional exam. Say it is a professional exam, so they are asking only relevant thing. So, and your answer has also to be in response to that relevant thing. Okay. So, the paper is always framed in such manner that student should be able to complete it in stipulated time. Again, I am telling you, you are not to write thesis, or you are not to write. You are not supposed to fill additional sheets and go on writing irrelevant material. There would be no credit for writing irrelevant material or stories in your paper. You would be getting a big cross and 0. Okay, only write what the question is asking, whether it demands writing 5 lines or 7 lines, 10 lines, 2 paras, 3 paras, whatever is the demand. 3-4 mark question would obviously be hovering about this much space. Okay. एंड अमन शर्मा पूछ रहे हैं कि एंगेजमेंट टीम और एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर. अमन शर्मा, एंगेजमेंट ऑडिट कंडक्ट किया जाता है एंगेजमेंट टीम से. एंगेजमेंट टीम में एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर होता है जो कि रिस्पॉन्सिबल है ऑडिट के लिए, और स्टाफ मेंबर्स होते हैं. There might be qualified staff members, there might be unqualified staff members, there might be students like you, article clerks, who are going their skate training. So they are all part of engagement team. The engagement team conducts the audit, but the entire responsibility of the conducting the audit in accordance with standards on auditing is of the auditor, is of the engagement partner, is of the person who would be signing the audit report. Is that clear to you, Aman Sharma? And Jyoti, can we write example? Jyoti, again I am telling you, exams में इतना कहानी बनाने का आपके पास समय ही नहीं होगा. जो आपको हम एग्जाम्पल बता रहे हैं, these are for your better understanding. आप लिख सकते हैं जहां जरूरत है, where it is relevant and the question demands. Whatever we are trying to explain to you, these are all things are for your better understanding, so that you are able to understand the concepts, the issues, and then you can write it. Okay. Now, Dinesh English, you are asking that, sir, I enjoy auditing, but when I try to write the answers, I am unable to write. So again, Dinesh English, I would request you to improve your writing skills. First of all, try to make make short logical sentences, and also remember few sentences. Like, say, what is, like I have told you, audit strategy sets scope, timing, and direction of audit. Now, you should be able to learn this line. You should be able to remember this line. Scope, timing, and direction. So there is no liberty to change the words, to write your own words. कि आप scope की जगह कुछ और लिख दो, direction की जगह कुछ और लिख दो. No. These are keywords and these have to be written as such. So try to make short lines with keywords in between, and you would see a beautiful answer as the outcome. So this you will learn by experience. Try to write simple answer to simple questions. Write a para and then check it and see whatever is coming in your mind, whether you are able to write it in a proper way. Okay, try to make short lines. If you are finding to write it difficult, then try to make short lines, and also try to remember key things in auditing. So it would also improve your writing capability and writing skills. Okay. So is that clear to you, Ingle? Now, relationship between audit strategy and audit plan. Relations. What is the relation between audit strategy and audit plan? So guys, you have to understand that audit strategy and audit plans are not necessarily discrete or sequential processes. Now, these are two important words, and these you are to remember. These are very important from examination point of view. Now, इसका क्या मतलब है? Discrete or sequential processes. Discrete, what is the meaning of discrete? Discrete means, guys, separate, distinct. Or sequential means coming in sequence. Like, I am writing a sequence before you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this comes in sequence. 2 comes after 1, 3 comes after 2, and 4 comes after 3. Okay. So this line states that आप कहोगे, then students you will say, अरे आप तो कह रहे थे कि audit strategy अलग है, audit plan अलग है, आप उल्टी बात बता रहे हो, आप उल्टी गंगा बहा रहे हो. So here the keyword is are not necessarily. हमेशा audit strategy और audit plan separate या sequential processes नहीं होते. इसका मतलब ये है कि जरूरी नहीं है कि audit strategy बने और फिर audit plan बने. कई बार ऐसे भी होता है कि मान लो audit strategy बन गई, audit plan बन गई, लेकिन audit plan में कुछ फिर ऑडिटर को लगा कि स्ट्रेटेजी में कुछ मिसिंग है, सो ही वुड चेंज द स्ट्रेटेजी ऑल्सो. ओके. या उसको डिटेल्ड प्लानिंग करते समय ऑडिटर को ऐसा लगा कि स्ट्रेटेजी में ये चीज मेंशन नहीं है, तो ही चेंजेस द स्ट्रेटेजी ऑल्सो. सो दैट इज व्हाई वी से दैट ऑडिट स्ट्रेटेजी एंड ऑडिट प्लान are not necessarily, again mark, auditing में students याद रखिए, आपको you have to read between the lines every word, क्योंकि MCQs में और correct incorrect में यही गलती होती है. You have to understand लाइन जो पेपर जो स्टेटमेंट कहना चाह रही है उसमें क्या छुपा हुआ है, उसमें क्या छुपा हुआ है, कहां पे क्वेश्चन हमें मार रहा है. ओके. So the establishment of overall audit strategy and detailed audit plan are not necessarily discrete or sequential processes. हमेशा although they are separate processes लेकिन हमेशा वो डिस्क्रीट या सिक्वेंशियल नहीं होते हैं. डिस्क्रीट मीन सेपरेट या उसके बाद वो आए. सीक्वेंस में ऐसा नहीं है. एक में चेंज होने से दूसरा बदल जाता है. प्लानिंग में चेंज होने से स्ट्रेटेजी बदल सकती है. ओके, इज दैट क्लियर? ये लाइन स्टूडेंट्स आपको क्लियर है? दैट ऑडिट स्ट्रेटेजी एंड ऑडिट प्लान आर नॉट नेसेसरली sequential or discrete processes. This is very important line from the point of view of MCQs and also from the point of view of correct incorrect type of question, 2 mark questions, which is a compulsory question in your audit paper. First question, Murtaza Ali, you are saying, sir, I understand everything being taught by faculty, but I forget after some days. Murtaza, again, only solution is practice, practice and practice. जैसे पत्थर घिसता है ना, वैसे प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी आपको रिमेम्बरिंग की. आप एक पेज पढ़ें, उसको याद करें, की कंसेप्ट्स याद करें, अगला पेज पढ़ें, फिर पहले को दोबारा रिमेंबर करें. उसमें क्या की एरियाज थे और दूसरे में क्या थे. आप ऐसे 10 पेज पढ़ें और फिर आपस में अपने दिमाग में एक कोरिलेशन, उनका एनालिसिस करें, कोरिलेशन बनाए. फर्स्ट में ये लिखा था, उसमें ये पॉइंट था, 5th पेज में ये पॉइंट है, और अपने दिमाग में उसको एनालिसिस करें, कोरिलेट करें. तभी आपको मुर्तजा चीजें याद रहेंगी. ओनली देन यू विल बी एबल टू रिमेंबर. ओके, ऑडिटिंग सब्जेक्ट गाइस, अगेन आई एम टेलिंग यू, इट इज ए वेरी हाईली एनालिटिकल सब्जेक्ट. एनालिटिकल, एनालिटिकल समझते हो ना? एनालिसिस, टू रिलेट वन थिंग विद अनदर and to arrive at conclusion. Auditing as a profession, it is highly analytical, and as a subject, as a part of your syllabus, it is also very highly analytical. So you have to develop analytical skills. Analysis करना, आपको एक चीज को दूसरे के साथ correlate करना. You remember 5 pages, then again study 5 pages, then try to remember first 5 pages. What was the difference between key terms? Say now you have done chapter 1, then remember what was, you have remembered independence threats to independence of auditor. You have read in chapter 1. So try to make it in your mind, what is the difference between self-interest threat and self-review threats, and how different it was from advocacy threat. Try to remember examples. Okay, what was the ISBA code of ethics? What were the 5 code of ethics provided by ISBA? Can you remember those names? So these things have to be remembered. Okay, there is no alternate to that. This you have to understand, like integrity, objectivity, professional behavior, confidentiality. Okay, so all these terms you have to remember. So once you have done this, then again try to remember. Is that clear, Murtaza? Is that clear to you, Murtaza? Yes, Murtaza. Please let me know. This is the only way to retain the things, because ultimately you have to retain it in your mind. You have to practice it hard and you have to retain it in your mind. Now, development of audit plan. Now, we have understood about audit strategy. Now, when the auditor develops an audit plan, what it should include? It should include these three things. So, it should include these three things. Number one is now here, what was important in audit strategy? We had remembered as STD, scope, timing, and direction. Now, what is relevant in audit plan? It is NTE, that is nature, timing, and extent. Nature, timing, and extent. So these are keywords. These are keywords. So the nature, timing, and extent of planned risk assessment procedures. So students, when the auditor sets out to start his work, first thing he does is he makes a risk assessment. He carries out risk assessment procedures. What are risk assessment procedures? Risk assessment procedures are also audit procedures. Number one, this point you have to be very clear. Now, the purpose of risk assessment procedure is what? It is to identify areas of misstatement. It is to identify areas where there is a risk of material misstatements, whether due to fraud or due to error. Okay, so the auditor understands the company. He understands its business operations. He understands the control systems of the company, and he tries to identify areas where there is a risk of material misstatement. Now, how does he identify those areas where there is a risk of material misstatement? He carries out risk assessment procedures. Again, guys, risk assessment procedures you would be studying in chapter 4 in detail. For the time being, you can understand this much. Okay, कि प्लान में वो भी होना चाहिए कि रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसीजर्स कौन से प्लान हैं. ओके, ही हैज टू स्टार्ट द ऑडिट. नाउ ही शैल इंक्लूड कि ये रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसीजर्स भी उसने कैरी परफॉर्म करने ऑडिटर में. ओके, एंड द नेचर, टाइमिंग and extent, again the keywords nature, timing and extent of planned further audit procedures or दूसरे audit procedures. Like I have told you, audit procedures are we have seen before the break, like inspection, like observation, okay, like recalculation, like inquiry. These are all audit procedures. Okay, like the whether the controls the controls which are operating in the company, whether these are operating satisfactorily or not. So the auditor performs test of controls. So these are all audit procedures. Okay, so कौन से procedures adopt करने हैं? Whether he has to rely more on tests on controls, he has to rely more on control systems, or whether he has to do detailed checking. Okay, what should be the timing? कितना करना है? Extent कितना करना है? Say sample 20% का होगा या और कोई basis होगा उसका? What should be the basis? Okay. So these are all included in audit plan. Okay. इसके अलावा there any other planned audit procedure which is required to be done in accordance with essays. Okay. So audit plan, basically you understand guys, audit plan is detailed as compared to audit strategy. Now when we try to analyze these things, audit strategy sets out the basic scope, okay, and direction, timing and direction of audit, whereas audit plan describes the nature, timing and extent of audit procedures, of risk assessment procedures, of other audit procedures, which procedures are to be carried out, when these are to be carried out, these are all described in the audit plan. Okay. So the audit plan is more detailed than overall audit strategy, and it includes nature, timing and extent of audit procedures to be performed by the engagement team. Okay guys, clear? So students, one more thing you have to remember is that understanding the client, first thing in audit is you have to understand the client's business. Say I am doing the audit of a company, but I do not understand what is the nature of business of the company. I do not understand what is the source of revenue of the company. कि भाई इसकी सेल किस चीज से हो रही है, या what thing it is manufacturing, what line of activity the company is engaged in, कितने टाइप के बिजनेस है इसके, whether it is in trading business, whether it is a service company, whether it is a manufacturing company, and in manufacturing company which sector. Okay, whether it is manufacturing parts of computers, or it is manufacturing capital goods, or it is manufacturing textiles, or it is manufacturing paints, or it is manufacturing chemicals. So unless and until I understand what is the nature of client's business, how its earnings are being generated, what is the source of its revenue, what are its nature of its expenses, what are the nature of its purchases, okay, or how the company is structured, okay, what is its equity structure, who are its shareholders. If I do not know these things, then how I shall prepare an effective audit plan. Okay. So therefore, you would also be reading this in your chapter 4. Here it is also described in detail. As per SA 315, this is another standard on auditing. SA 315 is identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. It is fairly long name, but I would say the longer name, the better it is to understand, because it clearly shows what this standard is all about. Now, Pranav, you are saying, can you please give in writing the difference between strategy and planning? Strategy and plan. So what is, it is all written here in your module. What do you want me to do? Yes, Pranav, what do you want me to do? So identifying. So guys, you have also to understand that everything cannot be be given to you on platter. You have to make your own effort. You have to go deep. You have to dive. You have to deep, and you have to swim. Only when you study the subject, you go deep into the subject, only then you will be able to perform. If you think, guys, that everything should be in a ready to learn format, I think you are mistaken, because the CA course, guys, is based upon self analysis, self study structure format. That the more you study, the more things become clear to you. We are here to help you. We are here to hold your hands. But you have also to understand that everything cannot be ready-made for you. You have to put your own efforts. Okay. So relevant industry, regulatory and other external factors, including the applicable फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क, किस इंडस्ट्री में वो कंपनी काम कर रही है, रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क कैसा है. सपोज कोई नॉन बैंकिंग फाइनेंशियल कंपनी है, एनबीएफसी है, तो आरबीआई रेगुलेशंस आर एप्लीकेबल. कोई बैंक है, आरबीआई गाइडलाइंस आर एप्लीकेबल. कोई टेलीकम्युनिकेशन में कंपनी है, देयर इज ए टेलीकम्युनिकेशन कंपनी, देन regulator is there, TRAI is there, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India is there. कोई इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर में कंपनी है, there is insurance regulator, IRDA, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India is there. Okay, so it is very important to understand what is the nature of business of the company, what is the industry in which the company is functioning. Okay, what are the regulatory framework, and what are the applicable financial reporting framework. Financial reporting framework, you understand, like in case of company, there is reporting framework that financial statements are to be prepared in accordance with Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. So there is a set framework in accordance with which the financial statements are to be prepared. Okay, so obviously while conducting audit, the financial audit is conducted with regards to financial statements. So the auditor would definitely be keeping in mind the applicable financial reporting framework. That becomes very, very important. Okay. So like few examples are given, like the environment, competitive environment, supplier and customer relationships, technological developments. Say the company is in business that it's due to some new technology, the products of the company are getting obsolete quickly. So कभी ऐसा तो नहीं कि it might put a question mark on the ability of the company to continue as a going concern. Okay, so these type of things, the nature of entity. Yes, IFRS, GAAP, Ind AS. Abdul, you are writing correctly. The nature of entity, including its operations, its ownership and governance structures. Owners कौन है? Who are the owners? Who are the shareholders of the company? Stake company में किसका ज्यादा है? मालिक कौन है? And how the company is being run? What is the organization structure? Okay, and the type of investments the company is making. That is also very important. कंपनी किस में इन्वेस्ट कर रही है, जो उसके पास the surplus funds with the company, whether it is investing for its business or whether it is buying some properties or whether it is buying some assets for expansion or whether it is parking its surplus funds, say in some securities or in say some doing some investment in securities market. Okay, the way the entity is structured and how it is financed. Now whether क्या प्रमोटर्स ने पैसा अपना ज्यादा लगाया है, शेयर कैपिटल ज्यादा है या डेट फाइनेंस है या बैंक से ज्यादा लोन लिया हुआ है. सो अगर बैंक से ज्यादा लोन लिया हुआ है, डेट फाइनेंस है या बाहर से पैसा उठा रखा है तो उसका ब्याज देना पड़ेगा, इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा. इट इज वेरी सिंपल. सो इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा तो प्रॉफिट पे इफेक्ट पड़ेगा. ओके, सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर देयर. सो it helps, all these things help the auditor in developing the audit plan. Clear, guys? So example, understanding the sources of an entity's earning can help us identify risk or material misstatement related to valuation of certain products or line of business that may be susceptible to management fraud. Say guys, अगर if I do not know company का what is the source of revenue generation of the company, I would not be able to assess what is the risk of material misstatement, because revenue sales company की financial statements में सबसे important item. It may be so that sales are being understated or overstated. It can happen that the company is only is not part of its sales are only a billing. It has not sold goods, but it is only a billing exercise. So the sales might be overstated or understated. Okay. So what is the risk of material misstatement? Because sometimes it happens that management is itself involved in fraud. Management might be overstating the sales, it might be overstating its revenue to show to the bankers that कि हमारी कंपनी की सेल इतनी है, that we are doing so much business, but in reality their sales might be lower. The purpose might be to avail more loans from bank. But in reality, the sales might be lower. Okay, guys. Now, Abdul, you are asking whole groups audit can be possible. Abdul, normally audit is in entity-wise, company-wise. Like say in a group, there can be say 5 companies, 10, 50, 100 companies, where the ultimate owner could be the same, but these are different legal entities. So say if some business house has got 20 companies and they are family members are shareholders in 20 companies, but in their own these each one of these 20 companies is a legal entity in itself. So obviously the audit would have to be conducted of each entity. However, when there are holding companies and subsidiary companies, then consolidation of financial statements might have also to be done in accordance with the Companies Act 2013. Okay. Is that clear to you, Abdul? Understanding key supplier and customer relationships. Again, an entity with components in multiple tax jurisdictions resulting in additional risk of misstatement. Say, if there is a company in India, okay, so same group has a company in say some another country, so or its subsidiary might be in some another country, so there could be a possibility of misstatement. There could be a risk of misstatement. So when you operate in different countries in multiple tax jurisdictions, so this is the meaning of multiple tax jurisdiction. One tax jurisdiction is India. So another group company might be saying Mauritius, or some another company might be in US. Okay. So they are operating in multiple tax jurisdictions. Okay. जैसे और मैंने आपको बताया कि ग्रुप कंपनीज में होल्डिंग सब्सिडरी कंपनीज हो सकती हैं, जिससे इंटर कंपनी ट्रांजैक्शन हो सकती है, कॉम्प्लेक्स ट्रांजैक्शन हो सकती है. ओके, सो दिस इज आल्सो टू बी कंसिडर्ड. कॉम्प्लेक्स ट्रांजैक्शंस और ट्रांजैक्शंस बिटवीन द कंपनीज, between the group companies, between the related parties. Okay, so these things are all taken into account while understanding the client's business. Okay. Now, Ashwin, you are asking, is there one auditor of a company? Yes, there is one auditor of a company, but joint audit can also be conducted. There can be more than one audit firm. It is provided in the Companies Act. Joint audit can also be conducted. There can be possibility of more than one auditor conducting audit of a company. Like in case of banks, it usually happens that there is no single audit firm. There is joint audit. There are 5-7 firms. So you see the balance sheet of bank published in newspapers. You would see the 5-7 names of 5-7 CA firms, XYZ chartered accountants, so and so chartered accountants. There will not be one firm. There will be 5-7 firms. Okay, is that clear to you, Ashwin? The entities selection and application of accounting policies. Now, this is also important for understanding clients' business. Now you understand, guys, that choosing an accounting policy is the choice of management. The auditor does not choose the accounting policy. The management chooses the accounting policy. Now, what is the role of auditor? The auditor has to see whether the accounting policy followed by the management is proper. जो उसको करनी पॉलिसी स्टैंडर्ड्स के हिसाब से, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स के हिसाब से चूज करनी चाहिए, whether it has chosen, whether that choice is proper, या if there is some change in the policy, whether this change is consistent on a year-to-year basis. ये तो नहीं कि एक साल कुछ अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी ले ली, दूसरे साल फिर एब्रप्ट चेंज कर दिया बिना किसी रीजन के लिए, अपनी जिस चीज में फायदा होता दिखा उसलिए चेंज कर लिया. इट इज नॉट अलाउड. सो देयर शुड बी कंसिस्टेंसी. ओके, सो दीज थिंग्स आर आल्सो रेलिवेंट फॉर understanding clients' business. Okay, so 1-2 examples are given. Now the entities, objectives and strategies, and those related business risks that might result in risk of material misstatement. Now guys, like you understand, like some business might be very aggressive, or some promoters might be little bit slow. Like if there are 2 competitors, okay, and one company wants to grow slowly and steadily, organically. पहले साल 20 करोड़ की सेल हुई, अगले साल 30 करोड़ की हुई, and there is another person who wants to fly. वो say I am not satisfied with turnover of 50 crores in first year, I want more. So he would see that who are the persons, which are the small companies operating in that segment. So he might want to take over those companies, he might want to purchase those companies. So when a promoter, when a company tries to do such kind of things, obviously there is more chance of misstatements in the financial statements. There is more risk of material misstatements in the financial statements. Okay, so uh, this is the example. Now which answer to write first or which answer to write later is dependent upon one's choice. Now this about joint audit, Murtaza, you would be reading about all your uh, queries, you would be reading about in your chapter on audit report. Okay, so don't worry, all your queries would be answered there. Alternatively, management may develop a more aggressive and complex strategy of acquiring competitors. So when an company adopts such a strategy, then it involves a business risk and risk of material misstatement. Okay, some examples are given. And the measurement and review of entities' financial performance. Now, this is also very important. Say how the entity is performing. So, say if I am the auditor of a company for the first time, then how I can be sure of the entity's financial performance. Now, one way is to go through the previous year's financial statement. Yes, Pranav, you are giving example of some company in the telecom sector. Yes, you are right. One company is aggressive and another is not so aggressive. Yes, this is a part of their strategy. This is their part of their business strategy. So obviously, when you adopt aggressive business strategy, then there is more risk of material misstatement. Okay. So how the auditor can review the financial performance? So he can go through the rating agencies report, like external information such as analysts report and credit rating agency. So there are credit rating agencies. You might have heard the name of agencies like CRISIL, credit rating agencies, and say CARE. These are all credit rating agencies. These give rating to the companies, how sound the company's business model is, how what is the outlook. They grant a particular rating. What is the financial stability of the company? Okay, so these are the rating agencies. So they are, by going through their reports, the auditor can get an idea of the company's performance. Okay. Yes, Mitesh, you are saying CIBIL score. Yes, CIBIL score is not a rating agency, but it is used. It is a standard. It is a benchmark of credit score of the company. Okay, it shows whether company has defaulted for a while availing a bank loan, whether it has defaulted or not. Okay, so what is its score? Whether it's whether its repayments are regular in respect of loans it has taken. Okay. Now Ashwin has asked in 70 marks questions whether they are direct theory questions or practical based questions. Ashwin, it is a healthy mix of two. There are some direct theory questions also, and there are you can say practical questions also, or case based questions also. You are given a situation at intermediate level, not a very difficult situation, general situation, and you have to state your answer. Okay. So these all things help the auditor in understanding client's business. Is that clear? Is that clear, guys? Now you have also to understand that audit planning, guys, is a continuous process. It is a continuous process. Now here, this line is very important. This line is very important. Planning is not a discrete phase of an audit, but rather a continual and iterative process that begins shortly with the completion of previous audit and continues till the completion of current audit. What does this mean? इसका मतलब ये है कि ये नहीं कि प्लान एक बार बन गई है, once a plan has been formulated, it cannot be changed. It is a continuous process. Once audit of a 1 year has been completed, some information has come to light, second year audit has started, okay, then by gaining experience of the previous audit, those things can be incorporated in the audit plan of the next year, and audit plan can be modified. Further, in the audit plan of next year itself, when the auditor does his work, he carries out the work, some new factors come to his light, which were not taken into account by him while making an audit plan. So obviously he can modify his plan. ये नहीं कि वो कहेगा कि ये प्लान में तो मेरा है ही नहीं, था ही नहीं, मैंने लिखा ही नहीं, I will not do this work. Obviously, when some new information comes to his light, then he would be modifying, he would be revising, he would be updating his plan. So that is why we state that planning is not a discrete. Discrete means, I had already told you, separate, distinct phase of an audit, but rather a continual and iterative process. What is iterative? Iterative means which is going on again and again. प्लान बनाई, ऑडिट का काम चला, कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन, नई इंफॉर्मेशन आई, then plan is again updated. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear to you guys? Iterative I have explained, Abdul. So planning includes the need to consider following things like कि क्या क्या कौन कौन से रूल्स एप्लीकेबल होंगे कंपनी को, कौन एक्सपर्ट्स इन्वॉल्व करने पड़ेंगे, कौन से प्रोसीजर्स करने पड़ेंगे. एनालिटिकल प्रोसीजर्स इज ए न्यू टर्म्स. It is again, there is a separate chapter on it. These are also audit procedure. So for the time being, you can understand these are also a kind of audit procedures. You would be reading about this. So guys, auditing, मैं फिर आपको कहूंगा स्टूडेंट्स, कई टर्म्स इसमें नहीं आ गई, आप कहोगे इसके बारे में तो हमें पता ही नहीं, लेकिन जब आप 5-7 चैप्टर कर चुके होंगे तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा कि ये टर्म यहाँ पे क्यों है. Then you will realize the importance of these terms and more clarity would be there to you. As the syllabus moves on, there would be more clarity to you. More light would be thrown on different topics and your level of clarity will increase. So do not get disheartened, guys. Do not lose patience and do not get disheartened. Okay. So is that clear? And one more thing is additional consideration in initial audit engagement. Say when somebody is appointed as auditor for the first time. What is initial audit engagement? Initial audit engagement, we say that auditor has been appointed for the first time. It is his initial audit engagement. So before starting the audit, before initiating the audit, what he shall do, this you have already read in chapter 1, that he shall perform procedures regarding acceptance of client relationship and specific audit engagement. Like he would think whether he, first of all, he should accept the audit or not. Suppose there is a small firm of auditors with say 2 partners and having staff of 10 persons. So whether they would be competent to conduct audit of a large manufacturing company of say having turnover of 5,000 crores of rupees of a listed company, whether they would be able to do justice to the job. Or before accepting the audit, the auditor has to see the assignment, the engagement which he is going to accept. What is the integrity of the promoters? Who are the persons behind the show? Who are running the company? Whether they are क्या कोई fraud लोग तो नहीं है? Okay. Whether there have been cases reported against them. क्या कोई सेबी वॉलेशन के केसेस है? These all are due diligence things which you have to do before accepting an audit engagement. आप कोई भी काम, ये तो ऑडिट की बात हो रही है स्टूडेंट्स, आप कोई भी काम करते हैं तो उससे पहले आप सोचते हैं क्या ये काम करना मेरे लिए ठीक होगा या नहीं होगा. सोचते हैं कि नहीं, क्या मैं ये काम कर पाऊंगा, क्या मेरे पास कैपेसिटी है. Similar is the case with audit, that you would see all the pros and cons, plus and minus, आप सारे उसको कंसिडर करोगे. So this we are studying in the technical language of auditing. फर्क सिर्फ इतना है. Okay. Communicating with predecessor auditor, कि जो प्रीवियस ऑडिटर था उनसे पहले उससे कम्युनिकेट करना. अंडर कंपनीज एक्ट इट इज नेसेसरी टू कम्युनिकेट विद द प्रीवियस ऑडिटर. यू हैव टू ऑब्टेन एन एनओसी दैट देयर डू नॉट एग्जिस्ट एनी प्रोफेशनल रीजन फॉर द करंट ऑडिटर टू नॉट टू एक्सेप्ट द असाइनमेंट. अदरवाइज इट इज ए प्रोफेशनल मिसकंडक्ट. ये ऐसा क्यों है? इट इज देयर बिकॉज क्या पता जो प्रीवियस ऑडिटर है उसको कुछ ऐसी बात पता हो कि वो दूसरे आदमी को वो ऑडिट एक्सेप्ट नहीं करना चाहिए. देयर एग्जिस्ट एनी प्रोफेशनल रीजंस. ओके. सो बाय कम्युनिकेटिंग विद द प्रीवियस ऑडिटर, द इनकमिंग ऑडिटर कम्स टू नो ऑफ द प्रोफेशनल रीजंस, व्हाई, whether there exist any reasons for him to not accept the audit. So these are the additional considerations in initial audit engagement. Okay, students, is that clear to you? Students, please let me know आपको समझ आ रहा है, whether you are gaining and understanding into the subject or whether we need to improve further. Okay, please drop your mails, and uh, I think all of you must have been bitten by the festival bug, and I am also no exception. And every one of you also must be bitten by the festive season bug. So, guys, this is over for today, and we shall meet for our next lecture. And we will be doing remaining part, some of the remaining part of our lecture. Okay, guys. So happy Diwali, guys. Good night. Good night to all of you. Happy Diwali. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, over.